Good evening. So today, on this last day of summer, we've officially entered into a new season with daylight saving going back 1 hour. I have been watching Sort of, which is that series about the trans non-binary character Sabi and her Pakistani Canadian family and her friends and her relationships, the ups and downs. And the theme of family shame has really lit up lights for me. And so I started to write a little bit myself about sources of shame. And I think I'll just let it speak for itself, but I'll need to put on my glasses because I'm really myopic. On shame. When I was 16 in year 12, at the state's largest and then also very problematic public high school, I could not cope anymore with both the school and what was going on for me. Body issues, abuse memory, internal conflict, transsexuality. So I dropped out, unannounced. I did need to tell Centrelink, that is Social Security, where my cousin worked, because my mum was on a widow's pension, and so she needed to declare everything about her children and their earnings or their studies or whatever. But I knew the ire it would draw from my mother, who always pushed me to succeed, so I didn't tell her and I feigned attendance. How did I keep it up? Hanging at the railway station, smoking cigarettes, going back to our rental home around 3 p.m, avoiding questions. Just 5 days in, the shit hits the fan. My cousin, who worked for Centrelink, alerted my mum. Mum, bless her, wasn't concerned about my state or reasons for dropping out. Instead, you bring shame on the family. That was hard to take. It was more about reputation and less about me. So I spent the next year or so incommunicado, unable to sleep or concentrate, severely depressed, withdrawn. Mum tells people I have glandular fever, which I didn't. She puts food outside my door if I refuse to come out, frequently. That year was lived as if in a fever dream. I did try to get gainful employment, but always got turned down. Get a job in a bank, Mum said. Easier said than done. I must have come across as a weirdo in the interviews. I felt like a weirdo, a suburban reject. All I did was write in that year, study flowers, draw botanical representations in my diary. I wrote out of anger, out of mourning. If I ventured out, it was far from the suburbs and to the state library, or sometimes the local one now demolished. I wasn't a bad student. In fact, I was the best of my year, and typical of the striving element, which always got Mum's approval. I had won awards for being top in maths, history, biology, English literature, chemistry, and French. God knows what else. Mum kept those certificates. They are buried away somewhere. When I went to the library, I just wanted to bury myself. Sometimes that word, transsexual, surfaced from books. I would stare at it, and also the accompanying photos. The miracle of medical transition, embodied in Sophia Loren-type femininity, which I couldn't relate to, although Mum loved her. It took a year to come back from all that and go and finish year 12, somewhere else, of course. And I published poems. The family shame no longer? Mum was very proud of my writing when it hit the lit magazines. It was something she could show the aunts. Well, not exactly. So that's one of them. Now I'll read another one that's called Shamelands, which takes place in the area that, I lived in at that time. the rental house, so to speak. And I grew up in this area, which is a very infamous place. It's actually called Armidale Kelmscott. That's the district. But people kind of colloquially or in a derogatory way refer to it as Armour Hall, Kelmscott. Shamelands. I remember walking around the Shamelands, also known as the Badlands of Armour Hall, Kelmscott, and feeling out of sync. Being told I was handsome, pretty, anything, ogled at by girls and women, yes, even grown-assed ones, leered at or felt up by men, and feeling like I was such a freak, think Kmart pinstripe boy drag, never ever able to live up to it. The hot feeling of shame, of feeling wrong. That and being called immaculate by the tech drawing teacher or exquisite by the maths teacher, dying every time. Then going home, leafing through Dolly and Mademoiselle magazines, spinning out at the little rehearsals of popularity and whiteness, teen idols and pastel lipstick. So that one is a little bit more like a poem, isn't it? Let me find the middle one, which is kind of drawn from a memory, and it's a different kind of shame, a different reason for shame. Shame, Part 2. A. It's your birthday, the 15th. Your mother goes out of her way to buy you a pair of Nike shoes, white. Unwrapping, you can only say, I don't like them. Mum had scrimped and saved and for some reason splashed out. All I could see was white. I don't like them. Sister chides, how can you be so rude? On your birthday? So ungrateful. I throw them on the ground and leave the room. B. You're 16. It's Christmas. Everyone is preparing to go to church. It seems Mum will sing. I won't go. You will too, says sibling who suffers moral censure, one that cannot be meted out this way, in reverse. No, I don't believe in God. Those words wound, and they are final. Excommunication. Later on, when people come around, you're gifted Ferrero Rocher. They make your stomach turn. You worry about zits. And you're also given a book of Australian poetry, which you take and hide away in your own room. So that's just a little sample of that period of life. And as I said, the experience of watching Sort of again brought it back to me, what is seen as our choices in life, and how we can be seen as aberrant or not seen at all. Ironically, the track I was on took me in another direction, because no one really understood what it was like from the inside out. And it's true, I used to walk around the Badlands. That is to say, the Shamelands that I referred to in that poem, Shamelands. And I used to get attention. I felt so awkward though, and when girls and women would look at me, flirt and stuff like that, I felt obviously really complimented, but I didn't know what to do with it, because what they were seeing in me wasn't me. And that doesn't mean to say, as my mum said, many girls are interested in you. It wasn't that I wasn't remotely interested. It's just that I was at that horizon of contradiction. I was feeling wrong, and then the shame came with that. Getting past the shame is so important, and something about this period of transition means that my mind does go back to adolescence. these years as described in these prose poems. And I sort of feel like this act of transition is to rectify that gap, that loss. And I couldn't do it quickly enough in some ways because I'd just like to get on with things and be who I am. You know? I really would, and it's painful to think about how much I just took it on as shame and as if I was wrong. It was so hard to even speak about. My mum would have accepted me as who I am. My mother accepted transsexuality, but I didn't understand it and I didn't accept it, so how on earth could I have reached out? And I think the corollary here is that when you're also attracted to someone of your same gender, in this case, me attracted to women, that put another layer on it that I found really hard to work my way through. Much like that dog that's fighting its way through the passageway. Sorry about that, I do live in a block of flats. But yeah, like the desperate quality and the deep depression of not being able to live effectively, of feeling like the living dead. I felt so ugly and awkward, even though they were telling me I was attractive. I just felt so ugly. That's the residue. And, you know, that is related to dysphoria, and it's something I wanted to put to rights. And I still feel nervous, and, you know, I go through the same self-doubt, and this is my second adolescence, or maybe my first, the first real one. Because the other one, that was wreckage.